She waited until everyone had left the baby shower. Then she pressed an old envelope into my hand and whispered, "Before you sign anything, look at this." Her fingers lingered on the envelope. Thin, pale, shaking just enough to scare me. Marlene had been quiet all day, hovering mostly, smiling that weird tight-lipped smile that always looked more like she was clenching something back than expressing joy. It didn't register until that moment how long she must have been waiting to do this. She didn't blink as she handed it to me. "Don't open it here," she said, barely above a whisper. "Just look before you do anything permanent." Then she turned and walked down the hallway like she hadn't just dropped a live grenade in my lap. I stood there like an idiot holding this crinkled, yellowing envelope in one hand and a half-eaten cupcake in the other. The voices in the kitchen, laughing, teasing, passing around Lily like she was the second coming sounded distant, warped. My heart was already racing. Because the look in Marlene's eyes? I'd seen it once before. The night she called Rachel sobbing about a family secret and then hung up before explaining what it was. That was 5 years ago. We never brought it up again. I slipped the envelope into my jacket. Sat through the rest of the baby shower pretending I didn't feel like I was about to throw up. Rachel noticed. She leaned over during cake and whispered, "You okay?" I kissed her temple and lied, "Just tired." It wasn't until hours later, when the house was finally quiet, that I opened it. Lily was asleep upstairs. Rachel had passed out on the couch with her head on a folded blanket. And I was sitting in the garage with the overhead light humming, that envelope in my lap like it might bite. There were 3 things inside. A photograph, a hospital wristband, and a folded sheet of paper that would wreck my life in 10 seconds. The photo came first. It was printed on glossy paper that had faded slightly with age. A woman in a hospital bed cradling a newborn. I stared at it for a long time. It wasn't Rachel. But it could have been. Same jawline, same nose. The resemblance was terrifying. If I didn't know better, I'd swear it was her. But it wasn't. The baby looked just like Lily, down to the dimple in her cheek, down to the wide dark eyes that never seemed to miss a thing. On the back of the photo, in slanted handwriting, M. 1992. She never knew. Next was the hospital bracelet. The name on it wasn't Rachel's. It wasn't even close. The surname meant nothing to me. But the hospital name did. St. Luke's. Same one Lily was born at. Same building, even though it had been renovated since the 90s. And then I opened the paper. It was a birth certificate. Filed July 22, 1992. Mother, Monica Bennett. Father, unknown. Baby girl. No listed adoptive parents. But what made me literally drop it, was the hospital record number. It matched the one on Lily's discharge forms. Almost to the digit. I sat there, hands shaking, trying to piece it together. Rachel was born in August 1992. Or so she said. But if this baby was born in July to a different woman, then who the hell was in that photo? And why did Lily look exactly like her? The door creaked open. I jumped. It was Rachel. She rubbed her eyes and smiled sleepily. "You disappeared. I was about to come looking for you." I fumbled to hide the envelope, the papers. Just needed air. She came over, curled into my lap like nothing was wrong. Pressed her cheek to my chest. "Today was perfect, wasn't it?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because the truth was rising in my throat like bile. Something was wrong. Something had always been wrong. I just hadn't seen it. Not in the glances Marlene gave me. Not in the way Rachel dodged questions about her own birth. Not even in the moment Lily was born and the nurse hesitated just for a second before handing her to me. I looked down at my daughter sleeping upstairs. And suddenly I wasn't sure if she was mine. Or who any of them really were. The next morning, Rachel was humming in the kitchen. She always hums when she's happy. I used to love that about her. Now every note felt like nails dragging across glass. I couldn't stop staring at her. Not in a romantic way. Not anymore. I was studying her face like a detective stares at a suspect who hasn't confessed yet. That chin. The slope of her nose. The slight gap in her front teeth. The woman in the photo had the same smile. But it wasn't Rachel's smile. Not quite. She caught me looking and smiled. "You okay, babe?" I nodded. Lie number 1. She was feeding Lily a bottle. And even that felt surreal. Her hands so confident. So natural. How many times had I watched this exact moment and felt full of love? Now I was just full of questions. Because if Rachel wasn't who she said she was, then who had I married? And who had I brought into this world? I waited until she left to run errands before digging deeper. The name on the birth certificate was Monica Bennett. I searched it. Social media, public records, genealogy sites. Took hours to find anything useful. A death notice. Monica Jane Bennett. Died in 2003. Survived by her daughter. Name withheld. No father. No siblings. No spouse. Just one daughter. No name. No age. The obituary photo, grainy, pulled from a driver's license, confirmed it. It was her. The woman in the hospital photo. Lily's face. Rachel's features. All staring back at me from a woman who died over 20 years ago. My hands went cold. The story didn't make sense. Rachel had always said she was born to Marlene. That her biological father had walked out before she was born. That she never knew him and Marlene never talked about it. Except now none of it added up. If Rachel wasn't Marlene's daughter, then what? Adoption? Cover-up? Did Rachel even know? That thought hit me the hardest. What if she didn't? What if she had no idea that the woman who raised her wasn't her real mother? The door opened downstairs. I barely had time to close the tabs and hide the envelope before Rachel walked in carrying groceries. Lily gurgled from her swing. Oblivious. Safe. For now. Rachel handed me a receipt. Can you reimburse me for the baby formula? I used the card from my account, not the joint one. Her tone was normal. Like, domestic. It should have comforted me. Didn't. I stared at her. Rachel, what day is your birthday? She blinked. Seriously? August 17th. Why? Just asking. Lie number 2. She raised an eyebrow. You forgot my birthday last year and you're quizzing me now? I gave a weak smile, trying to be better, but my stomach was twisting into knots, because I'd just seen Monica Bennett's birth record again. Her daughter was born July 22nd, 1992. That was weeks before the birthday Rachel always claimed. Either Monica got the date wrong on official documents, or Rachel wasn't born when she said she was. Or, God help me, Rachel wasn't Monica's child at all. But then why would Marlene give me that envelope? I needed answers. Real answers. So after dinner, when Rachel went to put Lily down for a nap, I stepped into the hallway, phone in hand, scrolled to Marlene's contact. My thumb hovered over the call button. Then I made a decision. No more whispers. No more half-truths. I was going to her house. An hour later, I was parked in Marlene's driveway. The porch light was on, casting long shadows across the dead flower beds. She opened the door before I could knock. I figured it wouldn't take long, she said. No surprise in her voice, just resignation. I stepped inside. Straight to the point. Who is Monica Bennett? She closed the door, let out a long breath. Then said something that made my knees go weak. She was Rachel's birth mother. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. It never came. What? You heard me. She sat down like this was just a normal Thursday night conversation. She died when Rachel was 10. Cancer. Bad kind. No family. No plan. I was her neighbor. That made no sense. So you adopted Rachel? Marlene shook her head. No, not legally. I just stared. What do you mean not legally? She looked away. There were complications. Monica didn't want her going into the system. I agreed to take her in. We told people I was her aunt. Then, eventually, I just became mom. Rachel never asked. I never told. Couldn't breathe. You lied to her. Her whole life. I protected her. She snapped. You have no idea what Monica was like. She was sick long before the cancer. Depressed. Erratic. She couldn't raise a child. And Lily? I said, voice shaking. Why does she look just like Monica? Marlene went quiet. Then her voice dropped. Because she's the spitting image of Rachel's father. She pulled a faded photo off a shelf, handed it to me, and there he was. Same dimple, same jaw, same eyes as Lily, and nothing like me. Rachel's eyes narrowed. You're acting weird. I forced a smile. Just tired. Lie number 3. But inside I was spiraling. I couldn't stop thinking about the photo, the name on that hospital bracelet. Monica Bennett, the obituary that confirmed her death, and that she had a daughter. A daughter whose name wasn't listed. A daughter who could be Rachel. The next day, while Rachel was out visiting her mom, Marlene, I made the mistake of calling her bluff. I went to the county clerk's office, asked for a copy of Rachel's birth certificate. The woman at the counter clicked around for a bit, then frowned. "I'm not finding a Rachel and Lewis born in this county on that date," she said. I leaned closer. "Can you check under Monica Bennett?" She typed again, looked surprised. "There is a Monica Jane Bennett. Gave birth in August of '92. My blood turned to ice. August 17th. Rachel's birthday." I nodded slowly, thanked her, and walked out of there like a man underwater. Back in my car, I stared at the dash. My mind kept looping the same question. Does she know? Because if she doesn't, then she's been living a lie without realizing it. But if she does, then what the hell is going on? That night I brought it up. We were brushing our teeth. Mundane. Routine. I asked, casually, "Do you have any old baby photos?" Rachel laughed, mouth full of foam. "What? Why? Just curious." She rinsed, spat. "There aren't many. Mom says they got lost in a move. That tracked. Conveniently. Pressed. No albums? Nothing." She paused. "I said they were lost. Why do you care all of a sudden?" I shrugged. "I dunno. Lily just looks so much like you. I thought it'd be cool to compare." She dried her hands and gave me a long look. "You're being weird again. I'm allowed to be curious." Her jaw clenched just a little. "Well, don't be. Not about that." She walked out of the bathroom. And just like that, I knew she was hiding something. Maybe not the whole thing, but enough to be afraid of questions. The next blow came a week later. Lily had a fever, so I stayed home while Rachel went to see Marlene. I was sorting through some boxes in the garage, looking for the thermometer we never use when I found it. A binder labeled important papers that I hadn't seen before. Inside, utility bills, old tax documents, and a sealed manila envelope with private written in shaky handwriting. Marlene's handwriting. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside were two documents. One was a guardianship form. It named Marlene as the legal guardian of baby girl Bennett, starting in September 1992. No adoption certificate, just guardianship. The second was a letter, not to me, to Rachel. It started, "If you're reading this, then I never found the courage to tell you myself." And then it confirmed everything. Rachel wasn't Marlene's daughter by birth. She was Monica's. Monica, Marlene's cousin, had died in a car accident when Rachel was only a few months old. No father listed, no other family. Marlene had taken her in, raised her like her own, never told her the truth. "I didn't mean to lie," the letter said. "I just couldn't bear the thought of losing you." It was dated 2012. Rachel would have been 20. I sat on the cold floor of the garage for a long time, just staring at that letter. My wife was living a life built on silence, and I couldn't tell if she knew or if she had found that letter years ago and buried it the way Marlene had. Either way, the truth was mine now, and I had no idea what to do with it. I didn't sleep that night. Rachel noticed, asked me what was wrong. I said I had a headache. Lie number 4. The letter haunted me. Her mother, her real mother, was someone she didn't even know existed. And the woman who raised her had kept that truth hidden for over 3 decades. But what broke me wasn't the lie. It was the silence. Because either Rachel had known and never told me, or she didn't know, and everyone else had conspired to keep her in the dark. I couldn't carry it anymore. So I did something stupid. I printed the letter and left it on the kitchen counter before heading to work. No note, no explanation, just the truth. I don't know what I expected. A phone call? A scream? Instead, I came home to silence. Lily was asleep. Rachel was sitting on the couch with the letter in one hand and the photo in the other. She didn't look at me when I walked in, just said, "Where did you find this?" "In the garage," I said. "In the binder, with the paperwork." She nodded once. I was 12 the first time I saw that photo. That hit me like a brick. So you knew. Her voice cracked. I didn't understand it. Not really. Marlene caught me looking at it once and said it was just a distant cousin who died young. I asked if I was adopted and she lost it. Told me not to repeat that word. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were rimmed red. I found the letter when I was 20, hidden behind some books in her room. I read it, and then I burned it. My stomach flipped. Then what is this? She held it up. A copy. She must have written more than one. Silence stretched between us like a chasm. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. Her lip trembled. Because it didn't matter. She raised me. She loved me. She was the only family I had left. What would have changed if I told you? Everything I wanted to say. Because love built on lies doesn't feel like love at all. But I didn't say that. I sat down instead. What about Lily? I asked. Don't you think she deserves to know where she comes from? Rachel wiped her nose. I haven't even figured that out for myself. I stared at the carpet, at the worn edges and the toys scattered across it. I feel like I don't know who you are, I whispered. Rachel's voice was barely audible. Neither do I. The days that followed were quiet, polite, careful. She cooked dinner. I washed dishes. We danced around each other like strangers wearing familiar clothes. Then, a week later, Marlene came over. She walked in like nothing was wrong, smiled, kissed Lily's forehead, asked how we were. I couldn't take it. I waited until Rachel took Lily upstairs and then turned to Marlene. You lied to her for 30 years. Marlene's smile faltered. I raised her, she said quietly. I gave her everything I had. That letter was my apology. It was supposed to be enough. It wasn't. She looked me dead in the eye. You think you're the only one who feels betrayed? I lost my cousin, my best friend, and I promised her I'd protect her daughter. And so you erased her. Marlene's hands shook. No, I preserved her. Rachel came down halfway through the argument, her face pale. I don't want to hear this, she said. Marlene turned, pleading. I did it for you. Rachel didn't blink. No, you did it for you. Because you were afraid. The words hung in the air like smoke. Marlene left without another word. And for the first time since this started. Rachel cried. That was 2 months ago. Since then, we've been trying to talk, trying to heal. Trying to figure out what it means to be a family again when everything that defined you feels like it's been shattered. We've started therapy. Rachel even reached out to a cousin she'd lost touch with, hoping to piece together more about Monica. And Lily. Lily is still Lily. Bright, beautiful, blameless. She asks questions we don't always have answers for. But one thing is certain. The truth, as ugly and complicated as it is better than the silence. Sometimes silence is safety. But once it breaks, it never feels safe again. Rachel and I tried. I don't know how else to put it. We tried. We showed up for therapy. We went on walks. We even had a date night at the same Thai place we used to go to in our first year of marriage. She wore that green dress I used to love. But the conversation felt off. Like we were both reading lines from a script we hadn't rehearsed in years. There was a moment somewhere between appetizers and that awkward shared dessert when she reached across the table and said, I'm still me. And I said, that's the part I'm struggling with. Because the truth, I didn't know if she was. And maybe she didn't either. The next turning point came, of all places, at Lily's daycare. One of the other parents had forgotten a pickup and Rachel volunteered to wait with their little boy. She sat beside Lily on the steps, helping her draw with chalk. When I pulled up, I watched from the car for a minute. There she was. Rachel, laughing, brushing hair from Lily's eyes. Completely, fully present. And something cracked open inside me. Because for all the questions I still had, there were no doubts in that moment. Whatever her origin story was, whoever Monica had been, whatever Marlene had covered up, Rachel had never been anything but a mother to our daughter. She saw me watching and smiled. A little tired. A little cautious. But real. That night, I told her everything. About the binder. The search. The clerk's office. Even the panic I felt when Lily smiled a certain way and I realized I didn't know who she'd gotten it from. She listened. Quiet. Focused. When I was done, she whispered, I was scared to tell you because I thought it would change how you saw me. It did, I admitted. But not the way you think. She tilted her head. It made me realize how much of yourself you've had to rebuild from shadows. She blinked. Slowly, And then for the first time in weeks, she reached for my hand, not as a wife trying to save something, but as a woman finally letting herself be seen. A week later, we visited Monica's grave. Rachel didn't say much. She knelt beside the stone for a long time, traced the name with her fingers, read the date over and over again like it might unlock something. When we got back in the car, she said, "I always thought I was a second draft of someone else's story." "You're not," I said. "You're the author now." She didn't cry, but she held my hand the entire ride home. We're not perfect. There are still days when I look at her and feel that flicker of doubt. Not because I don't trust her, but because I don't trust what she was given to work with. Rachel never got the full truth. She got a stitched-up version of it handed down by someone who thought silence was kindness. And sometimes, silence is just cruelty in prettier wrapping. As for Marlene, we haven't spoken to her since that day. She sent letters, left voicemails, even dropped off a gift for Lily on the porch. We haven't opened it. Maybe one day, but not now. Because healing doesn't happen on someone else's timeline. It happens in quiet moments when Rachel reads Lily to sleep and kisses her forehead. When I hear them laugh in the hallway. When I catch her staring at that photo again, the one of Monica holding a baby in a hospital bed. Now it sits in a frame on Rachel's dresser. Not as a mystery, but as a beginning. The photo didn't bother me anymore. Not in the way it used to. At first, it felt like a ghost. Something left behind to haunt us. But now it felt more like a fingerprint. Proof that someone was here. That Monica lived. That she loved. It became part of the story, not the wreckage. Rachel asked me one night, just after putting Lily to bed, if I wanted to read the letter again. The one Marlene had written. The one that had nearly torn everything apart. I hesitated. "Do you?" She nodded. "I think I need to." So we sat at the kitchen table, the three of us, technically Rachel, me, and a ghost named Monica, and she read it out loud this time. It still hurt. Even when you expect it, reading the truth in someone's handwriting, the ink-stained version of all the pain and guilt they couldn't speak aloud, it stings in a different way. "I never meant to lie," Marlene had written. "I just wanted her to feel safe." Rachel's voice wavered as she reached that part. She didn't cry, but she folded the letter carefully like it was something sacred and fragile. And then she said something I hadn't expected. "I want to write her back. To Marlene. To Monica." It was a long letter. She didn't show it to me until she was done. She printed 2 copies. One went into a small envelope with Monica's name on it, tucked inside the same frame that held the photograph. The other, she read to Lily. "She won't understand it," I said. "I know," Rachel replied. "But one day she might want to. And I want her to know I wasn't afraid." It's been 6 months. Lily's learning to write her name in big, shaky letters. Rachel started going by Bennett professionally, her birth name. She said it's not about rejecting Marlene. It's about reclaiming Monica. Reclaiming herself. She's also started volunteering with an adoption support group. She doesn't say much during the meetings, but I can tell she's found a place where the silence isn't so loud anymore. As for me, I sleep easier now. Not because everything's fixed, but because I'm no longer carrying it alone. We talk more. Not just about bills or daycare. Real things. Past things. Things that used to sit in the dark corners of our home, untouched. The other day, Lily pointed at the photo on the dresser and said, "That's Mommy, right?" Rachel smiled. "It looks like Mommy. But that's someone else. Someone special." Lily tilted her head. "Is she gone?" "Yes," Rachel said. "But I still talk to her sometimes." "Like a secret?" "No," Rachel said softly. "Like a promise." Families aren't always built the way you expect. Sometimes they're patched together with love and loss and second chances. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The truth will hurt, but it's the only thing that lets you heal. And now finally, we are healing. Together.